Bill O'Reilly here, Friday, September 16th, 2022. You are listening to the O'Reilly Update. Here's what's happening this week in America. New survey finds Christians will be a religious minority in the next few decades. Teachers in Ohio can now carry guns in the classroom. Americans tune out the Emmy Awards. More adults gambling on football than any other time in history. Also, the message of the day, update listeners, sound off. But first, a new poll from Pew Research finds Christianity will be a religious minority in the USA by the year 2070. During the 1990s, nearly 90% of Americans considered themselves Christian. That figure now stands at 64% and is projected to fall below 50%. The fastest growing faith movement in the USA, no religion. 25% of Americans now describe themselves as atheist or agnostic. New law in Ohio permits teachers to carry guns in the classroom. The rules went into effect this week. Educators are allowed to bring firearms to work if they complete 24 hours of training and a written test. Republicans passed the bill in June after a school shooting in Uvalde, Texas, left 21 people dead. You'll remember that. Similar laws are being considered in Arkansas, Missouri, and Florida. TV ratings for the Emmy Awards falling to an all-time low. Just 6 million people watched the broadcast, down 25% from last year. By comparison, 22 million Americans watched the Emmys back in 2005. Executives blame the dismal audience on streaming. More than 90% of U.S. households now subscribe to a service like Netflix or Amazon. That figure was just 20% 10 years ago. A record 32 million Americans placing bets during the National Football League's opening week. The U.S. Gambling Association confirms $10 billion was waged on the games, mostly through the internet. A dozen states now have legalized online gambling, including New York, Connecticut, Louisiana, Wisconsin. The gambling industry generated $65 billion in the USA last year alone. But be very, very careful. Like the casinos, you cannot win betting on football. The odds are just too strenuous. You might win once in a while, but not in the long run. In a moment, update listeners have their say. Right back. Things are tough in the USA right now. Gas prices up 59%, food prices up 10%, and have you taken a look at your cable bill recently? Some of us are paying more than $150 a month. That's why I am excited about the streaming platform Vidgo, V-I-D-G-O. Vidgo gives you the freedom to be entertained at a price you can afford. Vidgo has all my favorite live sports networks. They have a great choice of news programming, including The First, Newsmax, OAN, Fox News. Vidgo also has more than 100 channels of entertainment. All of that for just $59 a month for the base package, $79 a month for premium. You deserve the freedom to be entertained at a price you and your family can afford. So please sign up at vidgo.com/Bill. Time now for the O'Reilly Update message of the day. Listener sound off. We do this each Friday, as you may know. You can reach me, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com. Bill at BillO'Reilly.com. That's where I live. Name and town if you wish to opine. Let's begin with James, who is in Smithville, Tennessee. Hey, Bill, the rising level of anger in this country is frightening. In a recent broadcast, you dismissed any possibility for a coming civil war. Why? Because most Americans are law-abiding and most Americans are not violent. James. So it is inconceivable that people would take up arms and try to kill other citizens. That's not going to happen. What is happening, unfortunately, is the rise of hate. And there will be cranks and psychopaths who hurt other people, but not on a mass level. That is not going to happen. Larry, Palm Bay, Florida, on electric cars, has anyone considered what will happen when we have 50% electric cars on the road? Federal and state fuel tax goes toward improving and building our highways. Where then will the money come from? Come on, Larry. It's the government. They will find a way to tax your vehicle. It might be a tax on tires. It might be a tax on how many miles you drive in your electric cars. There's no limit to the taxation in America. No limit at all. Wayne is in Oklahoma City. Many of the low information voters are that way because the left does not want them informed. Through the media and the education system, and with the influence of pop culture figures, they all work together to keep the public ignorant. Wayne, if you don't know what's going on in this country with all the vehicles of information available, then you don't want to know. The low information voter is lazy, is apathetic, does not care about his or her country. It's not the left or the right's fault. It's their fault. Rod, Hagerstown, Maryland. O'Reilly, can you try to secure an interview with President Biden? Not to embarrass him, but to respectfully ask tough questions that he needs to answer. Rod, let me break this to you. Biden doesn't do interviews with anybody. I can't remember him doing a tough interview. He goes to Anderson Cooper on CNN, and Cooper sits there and lets him say anything he wants. I have interviewed 6 presidents, including Biden's prior boss, Barack Obama. One time I ran into Joe Biden in Washington. I said, hey, come on, you got to talk to me. He was vice president then. And he laughed. He goes, I'm not coming on the Factor. I said, why not? He goes, you don't need me. Joe Biden would never do an interview with me. He couldn't handle it. It's as simple as that. I'm Bill O'Reilly. I approve the message by putting it together. For more honest news analysis, please visit BillO'Reilly.com. My new book, Killing the Legends, The Lethal Danger of Celebrity, out September 27th. In a moment, something you might not know.
Ad paid for by the Sentinel Group. Attention Marines, military personnel, families, and contractors who were stationed at Camp Lejeune. Were you present at Camp Lejeune between August 1953 and December of 1987? You may be entitled to significant compensation. For nearly 34 years, those in the Marine Corps' base Camp Lejeune were exposed to contaminated drinking water, resulting in devastating injuries, including several forms of cancer, adverse birth outcomes, Parkinson's disease, and more. North Carolina's procedural laws have prevented victims from getting the justice they deserve, but passage of the Camp Lejeune Justice Act of 2022 would allow you or a loved one to file lawsuit seeking compensation for illnesses and injuries linked to the toxic water. Call today for your free consultation. 800-230-0194. Let our experienced attorneys fight to get you the compensation you deserve, and you pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. Call 800-230-0194. That's 800-230-0194. Again, 800-230-0194.
Now the O'Reilly Update brings you something you might not know. 402 years ago today, a ship carrying 100 passengers departed from Plymouth, England. The destination? A vast, unexplored section of the North American wilderness. This is the story of the Mayflower. 10 years earlier, the British Crown began persecuting subjects who opposed the Church of England. A small group of Puritans who did not believe in English law decided to pursue religious freedom in the New World. The separatists, as they were called, won financial backing from a group of investors called the London Adventurers, who were promised a huge share of the New World's colonies' profits. The Mayflower left the south coast of Britain on September 16th, 1620. Its passengers were a blend of Puritans and entrepreneurs. After 66 days at sea, the ship missed its original destination of Virginia, instead arriving off the coast of Massachusetts, a much colder place. The sailors named the original outpost Plymouth after the English port. Life in the New World was brutal. Within 12 months, half of the colonists had died from disease and starvation. Out of desperation, they forged alliances with local Indian tribes to survive. A Native American named Squanto, who spoke English after being captured years earlier by British explorers, taught the settlers how to survive in the wilderness. As an expression of gratitude toward Squanto and his tribe, the Pilgrims held a 3-day feast in November 1621. That would be the first Thanksgiving, although they didn't call it that. The Mayflower eventually returned to England, where the boat was scrapped for timber a few years later. Over the decades, the economy of Plymouth, the New World, steadily grew. It became a major whaling hub in the 18th century. The town, of course, still exists in Massachusetts. It is a lively tourist place. Back after this.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-925-7584 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-925-7584. That's 800-925-7584. What do you have to lose? Call 800-925-7584. Again, 800-925-7584.
Thank you for listening to the O'Reilly Update. I am Bill O'Reilly. No spin, just facts, and always looking out for you.